current economic model is relying on growth, and to maintain growth, prices are reducing. We are relying upon scarce resources, accelerated production, and consumption is encouraged by marketing tactics such as flash sales, free delivery, and 2-for-1 offers. But the planet can't sustain that growth, and we have limited time to halt the irreversible damage that threatens humanity.
So we've bought into a throwaway culture, and this keeps the habit alive of thinking, oh, I need something new. Oh, I'll just keep checking. And so I'll keep going back and I'll keep buying more. So people are not just buying fast fashion in higher volumes. They're therefore getting rid of stuff because they can't fit it in their wardrobes.
Our research has found that consumers want to do better in their consumption, and they are concerned about climate change. However, the greenwashing that filters through the media makes them confused as to what the impact of their consumption behaviours truly are and which aspects of information are genuine.
Although there are many ways for consumers or citizens to behave more sustainably, another huge problem relates to the accessibility and convenience of proposed solutions. What is accessible for one consumer won't necessarily be accessible for another. Any solutions that are directed towards individuals must consider people's different situations, such as income, care responsibilities, health issues, and different levels of privilege. Solutions must prioritise equity.
Sustainable Fashion Scotland was born because we know that collective action is required. We create spaces for diverse stakeholders and perspectives to work together so that we can have greater impact on a national and systemic level. Currently, we put way too much responsibility on the individual consumer, when in fact overproduction and overconsumption is a systemic issue. This means that everybody is responsible, including big business and government.
We need to make sure the changes in the fashion industry are systemic. This requires multi-stakeholder collaboration, including citizens, businesses, policymakers, academia, communities, and other stakeholders, to ensure any sustainable transformation conversations are equitable and long-lasting.
Investment in network initiatives and participatory action research, like we do at Sustainable Fashion Scotland, is crucial so that we can redistribute wealth and move forward equitably with all voices included.
We need to recognise that consumers are constantly bombarded with marketing messages to shop more, shop new, and shop more often. And companies exploit the unregulated sustainable terminology to greenwash products, services, and practices. We need legislation to be put in place to combat the messaging consumers receive on a daily basis. Without it, we cannot expect citizens to know how they can support a sustainable transition to net zero.
One action that is incredibly important is integrating fashion and sustainability education into national curriculums from the age of 4 or 5 primary school. An example of somebody who is doing this very well in the Scottish fashion community is Repair What You Wear. Co-founders Roz and Ellie have been working with Scottish education to improve knowledge and provide basic mending and repair resources for schools to easily access, and this is embedded in the curriculum, so every student will have access to this. We need governments to fund and support systemic solutions just like this.
Fashion and clothing is relevant to each one of us. We all wear clothes and we all have an impact on the fashion industry. One of the most important actions you can do is love and value your clothing. Care for each item and wear it for longer. The following are some examples of the relationships we can all make with our own wardrobes to contribute to a greater collective impact.
This is a 1940s wool tailored coat. It was made during the Second World War under the utility scheme that was in operation, which limited the amount of fabric that businesses could use to make their clothing and also the amount of decoration they could have. My mum bought this coat in a local antique store at the end of our road where we lived in London. I inherited it from her, and I'm happy to say that I'm still wearing it. It's over 75 years old. It's a really great piece of clothing, and I think it really helps remind us that if you love your clothes, they can really last and you can appreciate them over the years.
Watches, I own some, and some are much older than I am. One of my oldest watch is, I believe, a Zenith from the early 1950s. I've got an Omega from the early 1960s. I bought them on auctions. They are working nicely. They look elegant. With a very classic look, yet they look at the same time perfectly modern, and I really love them, and I wear them on special occasions, and actually more than that, they will be my legacy to my little child Carlo. I already promised him my TikTok. He called them TikTok, because I wish in the future someday I will see him wearing my watches and being proud of having inherited them.
Today I'm going to introduce you to a rag rug that I have been working on for about the last year. The rug itself is made up of lots of different items of clothing that are no longer fit for purpose. So I will usually try and repair or repurpose or reuse things literally until there is no life left in them. This rug was kind of the end point for a lot of fabrics that I've been collecting for years. My process for creating the rug is that I take my scraps of fabric and I cut them up into long continuous ribbons and kind of create like a ball of yarn. I then crochet these in rows. While reusing materials and upcycling is certainly not going to solve the problem at its source, it does make an impact on waste, and it certainly makes a massive impact in terms of starting conversations about what we view as waste and about the worth or lack of worth that we put into the items that we're purchasing.